Chapter 19 Acceptance. Every feeling I've ever had is bubbling up inside me, like my body is a pot set on the stove to boil. I wish Lynx was gone, I say. There's a sound like a snap. This time I think I know what it means. Stand back, Zack, Uncle Max tells me. Uncle Max is a whole person now, outside his bottle. His hair is slicked back in waves, and he licks his index finger and whisks it through the air. A beam of light hits Lynx in the center of his forehead. His skin glows at the spot, then it travels through his body. Pretty soon he's all lit up from the inside out. The light from inside him casts a glow over everything, including me. I hold up a hand to shield my eyes from Lynx's red light. Lynx snarls and moans and twists like a wild animal. Around and around and around Uncle Max's finger goes, and when he points again, Lynx flashes in different colors, blue, purple, sparkling glitter. All the while he's shrinking smaller and smaller until he's gone completely. Some sparkles remain like fairy dust. I watch them until they too disappear. Did you kill him? I ask. Uncle Max shakes his head. I couldn't even if I tried, he said. Genie board decision 9. So where is he? In the 13th parallel, Uncle Max says. 13th parallel, I repeat. Isn't that where we... Woof! I turn in time to see both the dogs disappear. First the light one, then the dark one. Poof, poof. Then the floor is gone too. Uncle Max and I hover for a few seconds, and then we begin to drop. It's a floating kind of feeling, down and down and down until my feet gently find the ground. Real ground, in Mr. Heddle's office. I whiplash my head around looking for Quinn, but she's nowhere in sight. Don't worry about your sister, Uncle Max says. Her two halves are whole again and back at home. What about Mom? What about her? Does she remember I exist? When you're away on genie business, she doesn't. No one does. But when you return, it'll be like you never left them. Keep things seamless on our end. I nod. What about him? I ask. E.M. Heddle, the real one, is slumped down on his desk. He's sleeping it off, Uncle Max tells me. It's exhausting when someone borrows your body. When he wakes up, this whole experience will seem like a dream, and the memory of it will fade in a matter of seconds. Uncle Max lifts his left hand to push back the lock of floppy white hair that's fallen in front of his face. In his right hand is the bottle, my bottle, and he hands it over. I'm sorry you had to learn all of this the hard way, but I'll trust you take better care of that from now on. I will, I say, I promise. I won't ever let it out of my sight. I won't close my eyes and go to sleep. I won't even go to the bathroom. I'm glad you're willing to be so dedicated, Uncle Max says. But there are a lot of ways to keep your eyes on the bottle. You'll learn all about it in school. They teach you stuff in school? I ask incredulously. I've been in school for practically my whole life, and I can't think of anything close to genie stuff I've ever learned. Are there special classes? How many other genies are there at Pine Mont Elementary? This is a different school, Uncle Max says. School for genies. School for genies, I say. I can't believe it. I picture the words carved into a big wooden sign like Millings Academy. School for genies. Everyone would wear matching shirts with SFG stitched into their pockets. SFG? Like on my bottle! School for genies, SFG. And to your question about other genies, Uncle Max says you're the only one at Pinemont, so you won't know anyone else when you get to SFG, but you'll make new friends. I don't actually have too many old ones. I think you'll find you have a lot in common with your SFG classmates. Will they be all Sparkies like me? How do you know about Sparkies? Lynx told me, I say. He said that's why sometimes my magic worked, but most of the time it didn't. Uncle Max nods. One of the few things Lynx said you can believe, he said. You'll get the hang of it. SFG classes will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But what about our Tuesday and Thursday adventures? Why do you think we had those adventures, Zack? To have fun? To make up for the fact that Dad was gone? If they were fun and gave you any comfort, that's a certain bonus, Uncle Max says. But I was also trying to prepare you for all this. He points a finger at the bottle, and I feel it buzz between my hands. I wanted to show you that there's a time to be scared, but there's also a time to be brave. And sometimes those happen at the exact same time. I wanted you to realize you can do brave things entirely on your own when you're called upon to do so. That's why you left me at the Empire State Building last year? I say. Uncle Max nods. And you made it back to the hotel, he said. You're supposed to start school next semester, but I think we can arrange for an early start. A lot of exciting adventures await you, and a lot of responsibilities, too. I think you learned that. I nod. I'm sorry I lost the bottle. No permanent damage done, Uncle Max says. But we may not be so lucky next time. So there can't be a next time. Lynx has been waiting for this moment. For Jeannie to leave a bottle unattended? For you to leave the bottle unattended, Uncle Max said. It has to be you for him to come back. Even though it was a genie board decision, I'm the one who officially banished him. The only way for him to return is through the bottle of one of my descendants. Holy smokes, I say, so softly that my words come out like a breath. What would have happened if I hadn't have called you when I did? I don't know, Uncle Max says, shaking his head. I don't know, Uncle Max says, shaking his head. That's what's so dangerous about Lynx. He's like a storm, and storms are unpredictable. I shudder thinking about lightning and how you never know where it will strike. So it's me, just me, standing between him coming back or not? My uncle nods. I'm sorry, Zack, he said, but it seems that it's part of your destiny. There's that word again, destiny. If things are destined, I say, then why does it matter what we do at all? Aren't they going to happen anyway? The universe sets things in motion, Uncle Max says, but we're the ones who decide what to do with them, like granting wishes. Yes, exactly. And that way we're all unpredictable. We're all potential storms, I suppose. But at least when I granted Trey's wish, I didn't mean to hurt people, I say. I don't understand why Lynx does it his way. Why does he grant things in the opposite way that people mean? Something happened to him, Uncle Max says, long, long ago. It's a story for another time. But remember when I told you earlier, when people tell you their wishes, they're telling you things about themselves, the things that make them most vulnerable, the things they most want to change. And odd? Well, Lynx likes to exploit weaknesses as he grants wishes, turning dreams into nightmares instead of making dreams come true. That's what he was trying to do to you. Turns out, you're stronger than he'd bargained for. The door to Heddle's office swings open. There you are, Jeannie, Trey says. Bet you thought you could make your escape when I went to the bathroom. I won't be letting you out of my sight until all my wishes are granted. He doesn't remember, I say to Uncle Max. Is it like a dream to him, too? More like the blink of an eye, Uncle Max says. How does he know where to find me? There's some leftover magnetic energy between the two of you. I'm sure he felt that way here without even realizing it. Whoa, 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 Trey says. I see him taking Uncle Mac, who's back to looking like Uncle Max I've always known. Crazy hair and rumpled clothes. Who the heck is he? You can see him? I turn to Uncle Max. He can see you? He has genie vision for now, Uncle Max explains. He rubbed your bottle. My bottle, Trey says, wiping it away from me. I'd managed to hold on to it for a total of about 30 seconds. Trey's eyes flick around the room to Heddle's desk. What's going on? Did you put a spell on him? No, he's fine, I say. He doesn't look completely convinced, and I take the opportunity to grab my bottle back and clutch it to my chest tighter than ever. Trey balls his hands into fists, and for a second I'm afraid he's going to hit me. My dad is the third richest man in the United States, he says. If you don't give my property back to me, he'll hire every lawyer in the entire country to sue you until you get it back. Besides which, you're my genie, and I'm telling you to give me back the bottle. I'm your master, so you have to obey me. We prefer to think of it more like a partnership, Uncle Max tells him. Less of a genie and master situation. Like I'd pick Trey for my partner. I guess the point is I don't get to pick who I'm matched with, which makes him feel like my master after all. But he can have the bottle, Zack, Uncle Max says. Just keep your eyes on it. Trey smugly takes it back. You're welcome, I say. You didn't even want to give it to me. I should be thanking whoever this old man is. Trey, this is my Uncle Max, I say. Uncle Max, this is Preston Hudson Twindle III. He goes by Trey. Or Twerp, I think to myself. Pleased to meet you, Uncle Max says. Yeah, you too, Trey says. Are you a genie too? As a matter of fact, I am, says Uncle Max. I hope you have more experience in this newbie. Just a few hundred years, Uncle Max says. Excellent, because I haven't gotten any of my wishes yet. Think back, Uncle Max tells him. Before you stepped in the bathroom stall, was there anything you wished for? I just said I didn't get any, he said. You wish to be someone other people liked, I tell him. My sister has a lot of friends, so that's who I turned you into. What? I didn't want to be turned into someone else, Trey says. I wanted to be me. Well, you are again, I tell him. Do you have any friends? I look at Uncle Max and he gives a slight shake of his head. No, I admit. So I'm returning that wish. Actually, it's already returned, since I'm me again. And now I demand a new one, and if you don't give it to me, I'll sue. The court system you speak of doesn't work in our world, Uncle Max tells him. But I still have more wishes, don't I? Uncle Max shakes his head. It's one wish per visit, I'm afraid. So if you guys go away, I'll let some more time pass so I can rub the bottle again and get more. The bottle will probably make a very nice pencil holder or vase, Uncle Max says. It's not going to be too useful to you once Zack and I leave, and I have a feeling that'll be happening pretty soon. But wait, Trey says, what's the point of having a genie then if everything goes back to the way it was before? There's a loud knock at the door, so loud it sounds menacing. It sounds like the way Lynx would knock if he were here. Is he back? Would he knock on my door? My stomach clenches in fear, and over at the desk, Mr. Heddle is startled awake. I just had the weirdest dream, he exclaims to himself. Then he notices other people in the room with him. At least he notices Trey. Sorry, he says. I sent for you earlier. I didn't realize you'd arrived. What did you dream about? Trey asks him. You know, I can't remember. The knock sounds again, louder and more room-shaking than before. I bet that's your father, Mr. Heddle says. My father? Well, of course. We couldn't find you, and he says he was firing up his private jet to find you himself. Mr. Heddle pauses to take a deep breath. Come in. The door bangs open, and in walks a man. His body is thick as a square. He's completely bald, and his forehead is as shiny as a mirror. He claps a pair of thick hands together, and it makes a sound like thunder. Heddle, I demand an update on my son. He was just here a second ago. I've been calling and calling this office, Heddle. You tell me my son is missing, and then you don't pick up the phone to give me an update. And now you're telling me you've lost him again? Mr. Twendle? Mr. Heddle stutters. I don't know what to tell you. Trey comes out from his hiding spot behind a ficus plant. Dad, he says, I'm here. He found me. In two huge, swift steps, Preston Hudson Tweddle II moves towards his son. I see Trey brace himself for impact, and I brace myself too. But instead of hurting Trey, his father grabs him in a hug. Dad, Trey says, Dad, I can't breathe. Preston Huddle Tweddle II looses his grip on his son. Sorry about that, he says gruffly. I can't believe you're here, Trey says. Of course I'm here. The question is, where were you? Well, Dad, it's kind of a long story. I canceled my afternoon meeting, Trey's dad said. His thick arms are folded across his chest. So I have time for a long story. Trey was right about his dad. He looks powerful, the kind of powerful that people are afraid of. But there's something that makes me feel things aren't exactly like they were before. Like right now, the corners of Trey's mouth are turned up just slightly into a smile. I want to hear the explanation he comes up with for his dad, but I can't listen right now because there's a tingling in my toe. More than a tingling, it feels like it's alive, like it's about to take flight. Uncle Max, I say? But Uncle Max is shrinking in parts right before my eyes. Shrunken torso, shrunken limbs. I'll see you at home, he says. Then his head shrinks and he whizzes through the air toward a bottle. A few seconds later, so do I.